Okay. Shh. I'm on page 41. Oh crap, I definitely forgot to erase the board. Riley, do you mind erasing my part of the board for me? 41. Thank you, Riley. All right, so I'm on page 41. Shh. The quicker I can get through this, the more time you'll have. So, the last little thing that I have to teach you guys for this unit is variation. Specifically, there are two types, direct and inverse. Okay? Now, it's actually pretty easy. So with direct, typically you see that with linear functions. So remember, that's y equals mx plus b. In other words, what direct means is that as x increases, y increases. Meaning that if one variable is going up, the other variable is going up. If one variable is going down, the other one's going down. They're doing the exact same thing. Whereas inverse, you guys should know that inverse means opposite. You mostly see that with a rational function, specifically y equals a over x. And typically it means as x increases, y decreases. So in other words, they're doing the opposite of each other. One's going up, the other one's going down, and vice versa. Now, how to actually find these variations, they actually chalk down to very simple formulas, like straight up multiplication or division. So typically, if you're dealing with direct variation, you'll see it listed as this. Y varies directly as x, and the formula is y equals kx, where k is a constant. So if I look back up here, this m would be k, and the b, or the y-intercept, be equal to 0. Now, typically what they'll do in these types of problems is that they'll give you a sample x and y to plug into the equation and solve for k. Then we use that k value to solve for a different y or x, depending on what they give us. So if we try a problem, the score on my test varies directly as the number of hours I study. If I study for 2 hours, I will earn a 90% on the test. And it asks, what will I earn if I study for 3 hours? So if you think about it, the more you study, if you do the studying correctly, the more your test grade will go up. So always think y equals kx. So we're going to plug in what we know for x and y. Now, typically, y varies directly as x. That means the score on my test is my y. The number of hours I study is my x. So I would get a 90 if it's equal to k times 2. So how would I solve for k? I'm multiplying 2 to k, so how do I get rid of the 2? Divide by 2. So k is equal to 45. So if I plug it back in, that means y is equal to 45x. So now I'm going to use this formula to solve the blue question. So I'm going to plug in the 3 in for x. So y is equal to 45 times 3. So y is equal 135%. So clearly this teacher was offering some serious extra credit. No. So again, it's pretty easy. All you gotta do is just solve for k, which mainly just means divide or multiply, depending on whether you were given the x first or the. Typically, you're just dividing the x over to the y side to get k. Then from there, you plug the k back into the formula. So we took this formula, plugged the k back in once we solved for it, and then you just plug in for whether you're solving for x or y. It's pretty easy. And literally, it doesn't get harder than that. Now, inverse, you'll see y varies inversely as x. Now, this is the formula right here, but so y equals k over x, so it's a rational function. So that means if I go up here, a would be k. Now, what I tell students a lot is this can be a little bit confusing, especially if you don't know which one's x and y. So to kind of help alleviate that, if you actually solve for k within this equation, it comes out to xy is equal to k. I typically use this formula more than anything. So you just multiply the two variables together, that'll give you your k value. So formula-wise, this is the one I'd use. And then the steps are pretty much the exact same. Plug in the x and the y they give you, solve for k, and then solve for the variable using that k value. So the number of books in my backpack varies inversely as the size of each book, which makes sense because the larger the books, the less books you can fit in your backpack. The smaller the books, the more you can fit in your backpack. So if each book is 150 inches cubed, I can fit 4 books into my backpack. How many books can I carry if each book is 100? Now, since it varies inversely, it doesn't really matter which one's x and y. Number of books is technically y in this case, and the size is x. But since the equation just has us multiplying them together to get k, it doesn't really matter. We don't have to worry about variable placement. So I'm going to do 150 times 4, and that's going to equal k. What's 150 times 4?
600.
600. Good. So 600 is equal to k. Thus, that means x times y is equal to 600. So how many books can I carry if each book is 100? So I have 100y is equal to 600. How do I solve for y? Divide by 100. So y would equal to what? You can fit 6 books. Pretty easy, right? It's really not too bad. Now, sometimes you'll see the problems like this. So it doesn't really have a context. It's more so they just ask you to find the values. So if y varies directly with x, y equals 10 when x equals 5, find y when x is equal to 7. So it varies directly. So we're going to use the directly formula, which is y equals kx. And we're going to plug in these two values in for x and y respectively to solve for k. So I have 10 is equal to 5k. How do I solve for k? Divide by 5. So k is equal to what? 2. So that means I have y is equal to 2x. So now I'm going to solve for y when x is 7. So y is equal to 2 times 7. So y is equal to what? 14. And that's it. Does everyone see kind of the process for these? So you find k first, then use that k value to solve for the missing variable. But you're essentially using the same formula over and over again, whether it's directly or inverse. You just got to know the difference between directly and inverse. So remember, directly is y equals k times x. Inverse is xy is equal to k. Make sure you know the difference between the two. And this is in your journal too. So like on the test tomorrow, it's literally on there. So the second one, y varies inversely with x, and y equals 3, x equals 6. Find y when x is equal to 9. So inversely, so xy is equal to k. So I got 6 times 3 is equal to k. So what's k equal? 18. Thus, x times y should equal 18. So if x is 9, I'm solving for y. What's y equal to?
2.
Yep, 2. 18 divided by 9 is 2. Any questions? All right. Now, go to page 43. I just want to do these 2 application problems and then we're done. I told you it's a short lesson. And yes, you will have like 2 or 3 problems on your test like this. Okay, so make sure, but again, easy peasy and lemon squeezy as long as you know the formulas. So, if you work 40 hours in a week and make $800, how much will you make if you work 60 hours? So, they don't tell us whether it's direct or inverse, but we can kind of figure it out. So, remember, direct means that if one variable is increasing, the other one is increasing. Whereas inverse means if one's increasing, the other one's decreasing. So let me ask you this. If we're talking about how many hours you work and how much money you make, does more hours that you work mean more money or less money? More money. So are they both increasing? Yes. So this would be a what type of variation? Direct. So this is a direct. Because if you work more hours, you're obviously going to make more money. So if X increases, which is your hours, that means Y is increasing. So we have Y is equal to KX. So the amount of money that you make is your Y. And then you got 40 times K. Where if you think about it, K in this case is how much you make an hour. All right. So if I divide by 40 on both sides, what's K equal to? It's what? 20. So you make about $20 an hour. That's pretty decent money. All right. So that means Y is equal to 20 times X. So if we want to know how much we make for 60 hours, we just multiply 20 to 60. So how much money will we make if we work 60 hours? 1,200. Now this one, 2 people can shovel a driveway in 40 minutes. How long will it take 3 people to shovel the same driveway? So the same length of driveway. Okay, so think about it. Logically speaking, all right, if you have more people, will it take more time or less time? Less time. All right, if you have less people, it takes more time. So which variation do you think it's going to be, direct or inverse? It's definitely inverse. One's going up as the other's going down. So as the more people you add, the less time it'll take. So we're using XY is equal to K. So we have 2 times 40, and that should give us K. So 80 is equal our K value. So if we have 3 times Y is equal to 80, divide by 3, Y is approximately how many minutes it should take you? It's not going to be a pretty number. Round to the nearest. So it's 26.6 repeating. So I'm going to say approximately 26 minutes. Any questions on variation and how you use it? It's pretty intuitive. And also, I think on your test, all the ones that I gave you, they flat out say whether it's direct or inverse. So you don't really have to, as long as you know the formula, you're fine. And again, it's in your journal. It's already listed on your journal. Yes. Yep. Well, it's in your journal, so you shouldn't have to memorize it. It's in your journal. When do I not let you use your journals on the test? All right, so that's it for lesson. Rest of the time you can spend on Delta Maths, reviewing, whatever you need. Don't forget, Delta Maths